On an epic journey through the cosmos, the Stellarion carries with it the hope and destiny of an entire civilization towards the stars. Witness the saga of 7 generations of space travelers as they face cosmic challenges, interplanetary adaptation, and the quest for a new home on Proxima Centauri B. Get ready for an adventure that transcends the boundaries of time and space. Here, we have a fusion-powered spacecraft gearing up for an epic journey towards Proxima Centauri B, capable of cruising at 4.24% of the speed of light. It's set to venture for a staggering 100 years towards this new world frontier. Humanity, born on Earth, was never meant to stay confined here. That's why the voyage of this spacecraft, now dubbed Stellarion, is so pivotal. With the promise of generating artificial gravity on board, the population will exponentially grow over the next 100 years aboard the ship. In a closed environment like the Stellarion, what will happen to bacteria? How will the onboard time loop system function? And how will passengers adapt to the new living conditions on Proxima Centauri B? Throughout the last 30 years of the journey, measures will be taken to ensure passengers are prepared for the different living conditions they'll encounter on the planet, such as increased gravity and the red light emitted by the new sun. But why is the Stellarion specifically headed to Proxima Centauri B? This planet was chosen for being the most habitable one, close to Earth, just 4.24 light-years away. Equipped with state-of-the-art fusion nuclear engines, the Stellarion will reach its destination in 100 years, carrying 1,800 brave passengers on board. The journey into the unknown begins now. After its launch from Earth's orbit, the Stellarion kicks off its journey by firing up its fusion nuclear engines. Taking 15 days to accelerate below 1 gram and reach the cruising speed of 4.24% of the speed of light, the spacecraft begins its grand maneuver. Passing by Mars and heading toward the asteroid belt, the Stellarion utilizes its fusion nuclear engine, crossing the Moon in less than 2 hours and Mars's orbit in 14 days. Descending 21 below the ecliptic plane of the solar system, the Stellarion continues its trajectory after 15 days since launch. With engines shut down, the spacecraft continues traveling at 4.24% of the speed of light for the next 99 years. Then begins the rotation maneuver of the external thrusters, with a diameter of 750 meters, roughly twice the length of an aircraft carrier. The outer ring spins and spins to generate 1 gram of artificial gravity, requiring 1.9 rotations per minute. Once 1 gram is achieved, the rotating thrusters are turned off, and the habitat ring of the Stellarion continues to spin for the rest of the journey, due to the conservation of angular momentum in space. The command deck of the Stellarion now houses key facilities, from schools to virtual reality theaters, medical centers, nurseries, and gardens, spread across multiple levels of the spacecraft. What an incredible journey awaits the passengers aboard the Stellarion. Within the rotating habitat ring of the Stellarion, vertical aeroponic farms represent a revolution in sustainability and efficiency. The system allows for plant cultivation without the need for soil, using only air and a nutrient solution to promote plant growth. Additionally, DNA vaults and data banks store vital information and crop seeds, preserving biodiversity and knowledge for future generations. The rooms previously rearranged to accommodate the spacecraft's acceleration during launch, when G-forces pushed downward toward the engine, now find their floors realigned with the inner sides of the ring. This is because, without the acceleration, the rotation of the ring is used to generate artificial gravity, creating centrifugal force that pushes outward. The windows initially positioned on the floor during acceleration now rotate along with the habitat ring, offering views of the central cavity of the Stellarion. This hollow core, unaffected by rotation force and thus gravity-free, serves as a storage zone for cargo and spacecraft space shuttles, that will be used by future generations to explore and eventually colonize new frontiers like the asteroid belt near Proxima Centauri B at the end of the 100-year journey. On the planet, 4 days after the Stellarion's big spin, it's now approaching the asteroid belt. Unlike in movies, the asteroid belt isn't dense. The asteroids aren't close, but rather far apart. The average distance between asteroids in the asteroid belt is nearly 1 million kilometers, which equals 600,000 miles. That's more than twice the distance between Earth and the Moon. Although the Stellarion is traveling 2.1 below the ecliptic plane, most asteroids are within about 10 to 30 degrees. So, the spacecraft still passes through the asteroid belt. A path is charted to avoid the asteroids. Anyway, the Stellarion was designed with protection against asteroids and other future elements. It remains front-facing. The Stellarion was built with reinforced layers, as interstellar clouds of dust and gas will vaporize and erode about 1 millimeter deep every 4 light years. Tracking sensors and lasers are used to divert larger meteoroids, altering their trajectories away from the approaching ship, clearing the interstellar space in its path. The Stellarion finds itself in the vast darkness of interstellar space, a region amidst the stars teeming with dust clouds, cosmic rays, gases, and uninhabited planets the spacecraft left behind in Earth's solar system over a month ago. Kicking off its journey by traversing the orbital distances of Jupiter, Halley's comet rings, Saturn, the Kuiper belt with Pluto, and crossing the heliopause, the Stellarion is now headed into interstellar space toward Proxima Centauri. The command platform closely monitors the passenger population. When the Stellarion left Earth, there were 1,800 people aboard. The number of passengers aboard will grow to around 4,500 during the 100-year journey towards Proxima Centauri. Currently, there are 1,300 adults aboard the ship, with 300 of them being parents to the 300 children already present on the ship. Approximately half of the children will become adults after 10 years, while about 33% of adults will become seniors each decade. The average life expectancy is 80 years, and 33% of seniors aged 50 to 80, bringing wisdom and experience to the population, pass away every 10 years. Biologists aboard monitor the evolution of bacteria on the spacecraft to prevent the collapse of the ship's biosphere. This is because all bacteria on the ship are evolving in a closed-loop system much faster than human bacteria reproduce. Thus, thousands or tens of thousands of new generations will arise per year, depending on the type of bacteria, and mutations may occur. Some of these mutations may render the bacteria incompatible with human life, resulting in bacteria that were previously neutral evolving to become pathogenic, or bacteria that previously aided in digestion evolving to no longer provide benefits. In the first year of the Stellarion's journey, the firstborn child is born, marking the beginning of a new generation born on the spacecraft. The first baby is named after the ship, Stellarion, derived from the Greek words helios, meaning sun, and anthos, meaning flower. During this first year, 32 more babies are born. Each new birth is a sacred moment, marked by the sending of a small stone brought from Earth into space, creating a symbol of connection back to Earth. In the reality of the Stellarion spacecraft, which is 0.424 light-years from Earth, or roughly 4 trillion kilometers, 2.4 trillion miles, time dilation begins to make its presence felt more intensely. Communication back to Earth already faces a delay of 5 months and a day to send a message in just one direction. With the Stellarion traveling at approximately 4.24% of the speed of light, a time discrepancy has emerged. While 10 years have passed on the spacecraft, 10 years and 3 days have elapsed on Earth. This phenomenon is a clear indication of the relativistic effects predicted by Einstein. To understand time dilation, We can make an analogy with a river. If you're in a stationary boat, you and the river are moving together at the same speed. But if you paddle against the current swiftly, your relative movement to the river changes. The water appears to slow down or even recede relative to you. Comparing with observers on the bank, your boat and the river will reach the same destination, but you will have experienced the river's flow differently, in this case, slower. This is the principle behind time dilation. At high speeds, time for the traveler slows down relative to a stationary observer. Regarding the extra days that will pass on Earth when the Stellarion reaches Proxima Centauri, that depends on relative velocities and elapsed time. If the journey continues at a constant speed of 4.24% of the speed of light, time dilation will become more significant, and the difference between the time experienced on the ship and the time on Earth will gradually increase. Calculations need to take into account the time dilation formula according to Einstein's theory of special relativity. During the first 10 years of the Stellarion's journey, the first deaths occurred on board. In honor of those who passed, their bodies were sent into space, and a moment of silence is observed on each occasion. Each departure is followed by reflection on the future on the planet Proxima Centauri and the role the passenger played, ensuring their memory endures in the new world. Genetic diversity is a crucial component for the health and sustainability of any isolated population, especially in a scenario like that of the Stellarion spacecraft. As the ship celebrates the beginning of the second generation born aboard in the 20th year of the journey, the importance of maintaining a genetic balance becomes evident. Strict reproduction guidelines ensure that diversity is maintained, limiting family size so that each has a similar influence on the genetic pool of future generations. With a set number of offspring between 2 and 3, these rules support a stable replacement rate while preventing population growth that could overwhelm Stellarion's resources. Furthermore, to avoid age clustering among children, which could lead to social and logistical challenges, varied interval reproduction is encouraged. This prevents the existence of large groups of children of the same age and promotes continuous age diversity in the population. On the social and behavioral side, the ship's command has implemented a rotation system for accommodations to promote regular mixing of the genetic pool, which also contributes to strengthening social connections and unity in the population. Genetic counseling is another important phase of the process, with couples undergoing genetic sequencing to ensure compatibility and identify any potential risks. If issues arise, Stellarion is equipped with alternatives such as the artificial womb laboratory and cryogenically frozen sperm and egg samples brought from Earth. All these measures aim to ensure continuous genetic health and diversity in the population throughout the 100-year journey to Proxima Centauri B. Finally, with the increasing delay in communications due to the great distance from Earth, it becomes even more vital for the population of the Stellarion to be self-sufficient and well-organized to face challenges without relying on immediate assistance or advice from Earth. With the Stellarion located 1.27 light-years away from Earth, the communication delay becomes a significant consideration. It takes a little over a year for a message sent from the ship to reach the home planet. This delay underscores the need for independent operation and the importance of the role of the young born on board, who have grown into adults and are beginning to assume increasing and advanced responsibilities in driving the Stellarion. As the 1,000th baby aboard the Stellarion is named in honor of the ship itself, the continuity and perseverance of the community on board are celebrated. The persistence of names inspired by earthly mythology, such as Elysium, Helios, Surya, Apollo, Terrara, Joro, and Centaur, demonstrates the emotional and cultural connection to Earth's past and an intrinsic desire for identity and meaning. Crossing the half-century mark of the journey on the Stellarion, passengers begin to enjoy a clearer view of Proxima Centauri, affectionately dubbed Helios, on board. This red dwarf star, with a much fainter glow than the Sun, foreshadows the environmental changes and adaptive challenges awaiting the passengers and future generations on Proxima Centauri B, with the need to adapt to a lighting level comparable to Earth's twilight and a reddish-toned light. The crew of the Stellarion may already be planning alterations to the ship that will help passengers adjust to the environment they will encounter on their new planet. Transitioning to this new reality will involve not only physical preparation, but also a significant psychological shift, as shifting to different light and sky conditions will transform fundamental experiences of living and working in an extraterrestrial environment. The Stellarion spacecraft, now 2.5 light-years away from Earth, faces a substantial communication delay of 2.5 years for every transmission sent. Time passage is affected by time dilation, and while 60 years have passed on Stellarion, 60 years and 19 days have passed on Earth. With the renaming of planet Proxima Centauri B to Elysium, the crew of the Stellarion prepares for the sequence of gravitational evolution, the anticipated adaptation to slightly stronger gravity on Elysium. Over the next 30 years, the housing ring of the Stellarion will gradually increase rotation to closely simulate Elysium's gravity. This is critical for the passengers' prosperity, as gradual adaptation will prevent gravitational shock upon arrival at their new home. On Elysium, a person weighing 50 kilograms would feel as if they weighed 51.4 kilograms, a subtle but significant difference that requires long-term physiological adaptation. These adaptations encompass muscle and bone strengthening, redistribution of body fluids, and possible changes in blood pressure. Organically, the human species tends to adapt to the environment, and it is possible that over time, humans on Elysium may develop a shorter average stature and a more compact body build for greater energy efficiency in a higher gravity environment. Meanwhile, the lighting on the Stellarion will be programmed to a redder and less bright tone, thus preparing passengers for the light of the new sun, Helios. These changes aim to facilitate the transition to the environment of Elysium, where human eyes may evolve to better adapt to local conditions, perhaps with iris colors and shades of amber or gold, and a greater pupil capacity to absorb more light in a predominantly darker environment. Comprehensive visual adaptation, including possible sclera pigmentation to reduce glare and improve vision in low light conditions, characterizes the physiognomy of future inhabitants of Elysium as distinctly adapted to their new stellar home. Rumors aboard the Stellarion about hidden cryopreservation capsules, in which earthly oligarchs supposedly froze themselves to awaken on the new planet, foster a mixture of suspicion and fascination among passengers. Imaginative stories suggest that these individuals seek not only to preserve their lives, but also to secure a commanding position over the inhabitants of Elysium. It's a typical mix of myth and expectation that arises during long space journeys, perhaps influenced by earthly folklore and the unknowns of future social dynamics on Elysium. As for the star presiding over the new home, the sun Helios is already a constant presence in the observation of Stellarion passengers, which becomes brighter as they sail through the last year of the interstellar journey. The Stellarion, carrying 3 generations of humans, is nearing the end of its nearly century-long journey, traveling at 4.24% of the speed of light with artificial gravity generated by the constant rotation of the ship. In preparation for insertion into Elísia's orbit, a careful maneuver will be executed. The rotating thrusters that have maintained the gravity simulation will be activated in the opposite direction to slow down the ship's rotation 15 days before arrival. Following this derotation, the Stellarion will execute a critical maneuver adjusting its position so that its engines are directed towards Elísia. Subsequently, deceleration will begin with a counter thrust of 1 gravity 1 gram, gradually reducing the immense speed of the ship over 15 days, ensuring a safe and controlled entry into Elísia's orbit. This final phase of the journey is crowned by a mixture of anticipation for the future and predictable anxiety for adaptation to a new environment. What awaits them in Elísia, however, is a reality that surpasses the stories woven over decades of space travel, a new and unexplored page in the saga of humanity. Elísia's gravity has exerted its power, capturing the Stellarion and placing the spacecraft in a stable orbit around the new world. Passengers have finally reached their destination, the journey of a lifetime coming to an end as a new one begins. Even with the difference in brightness between Earth's sun and the red dwarf star Helios, the Stellarion still allows its inhabitants to gaze from afar at the star of their origin. Aboard, in orbit, the generation of artificial gravity continues by the rotating thrusters, a necessity to maintain the health and functionality of the residents while they still inhabit the spacecraft. During this transitional period, a ceremony is held in tribute to those who succumbed on the journey and those who were born during it. 2,924 deaths and 5,700 births, symbols of human tenacity and hope for all 7 generations who resided on the Stellarion. With the realization that on Earth, only 100 years and 33 days have passed compared to the 100 years on the spacecraft due to time dilation, the crew of the Stellarion sends a message to their home planet, which will take 4.24 years to reach Earth, and another 4.24 years to receive a reply, a literal communication with the past, a reminder of the distance of time and space that now separates them. The next practical step for the passengers will be to board the stored space shuttles within the hollow core of the spacecraft, to descend to the surface of Elísia and begin building a new foundation for humanity, known as the colonist of Elísia. There, they will begin to mark the first 10,000 days on Proxima Centauri, establishing the beginning of a new chapter in human history on a foreign world. The early days on the new planet Proxima Centauri B, now called Elísia, will revolve around adjusting to an alien landscape, where every aspect of life from gravity to the light of a different star will require adaptation, ingenuity, and above all, the solidarity that preserved the passengers throughout the century of space isolation. The passengers of the Stellarion finally step onto Elísia, a new world full of promises and challenges, preparing to forge a new society in their Elísia colony, where they honor the past, celebrate the present, and embrace the uncertain future with courage and determination, while messages exchanged with Earth echo through time and space, symbolizing not just an arrival, but the beginning of a new era for humanity. Join us for the thrilling conclusion of this unique journey. Don't miss the final chapter of humanity's story on the new world of Elísia. Watch now and embark on this exciting intergalactic odyssey.